Welcome back to an instant reaction edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie Schneiderite. Richie, we got a commitment last night in the class of 2024. Another tight end. This tight end is named Matthew Ogunniyi. We tried pretty hard not to butcher this name. So Matthew Ogunniyi is a 6'4", 6'5", 200 some pound, 205 pound, it looks like, athlete, but we're taking him as a tight end. He's from Maryland. Tell us a little bit about this kid.
Yeah, so like you said, he's an athlete. He plays a lot of wide receiver for his high school team. He's tall, he's lengthy, he's a legit 6'5", 200 pounds. He actually has pretty good hands, and he's fast. He runs track too, and some of his track times are like super impressive. I think it was an 11-12 100-meter dash. Runs a 4.56 40. Now, I don't know how verified these times are. They're just posted on his Twitter account, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The track ones are legit, though, because they're posted on that I don't even know what the track website's called, Track Split or something like that. But, yeah, he's pretty quick. He has good hands. He plays some wide receiver. I think he's a lot taller than everyone he goes against, which is very helpful. I think he's that new age kind of tight end where you kind of are mostly a receiver and you're kind of less of a blocker. And with Shiraka's new offense, this kind of fits because he's going to use multiple two tight end sets, it sounds like. And that's why they took two in this class. Monty Keener, the other guy from Wisconsin's more of a polished blocker, but also a receiver, obviously. But this one is just strictly a receiver and is going to have to learn the blocking. So it's kind of the complete opposite. Yeah, but they wanted two tight ends. They got two tight ends pretty quickly. I think this is a pretty good get. I think Monty Keener is a good get. I think this is a good start to rebuilding that tight end room.
Yeah, and his tape is very impressive for a tight end guy. Like he's a polished receiver. Like there's multiple plays where he just takes a slant and he goes 70 yards and he blows away like three defensive backs. Like he's got legit speed. He's got some one-handed catches on his tape that are very impressive. Like this is a guy who's definitely a receiver first. He's going to need to probably redshirt, build up his body, get to 220 pounds. But he's kind of got that like Darren Waller frame. He kind of reminded me of Hakeem Butler, watching him a bit. He was a guy from Iowa State a few years ago. Maybe it's just because he wore number 18. I don't know. He had a couple one-handed catches, but this is clearly a guy who's a very advanced receiver who is playing the tight end. He doesn't really play tight end in high school, but they view him as a tight end prospect. I think this is a good ad. Normally, I'm pretty conservative when I'm talking about some of these totally off the radar kids because Rivals doesn't even have it ranked yet. I'm sure that'll come in the next few days, but I like this kid. I like his tape. He's a big athlete. Like you said, I think Texas A&M offered him the last few days.
I think 2 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah, he probably would have collected even more offers as he continued to camp this summer if he chose to do that anyway. And he comes from a school that doesn't really produce a ton of talent. Flowers High School in Springdale, Maryland. I'd never even heard of it.
You know what? I just remembered. It took me a while to figure out what that high school was because I heard of it before, and I'm pretty sure that's John Marie Croma's high school, if I recall correctly. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know how much talent they produce. I don't think it's a ton of talent, to be honest with you. But you know what? I take it back. They actually produce some solid players.
Do they?
They have two 2024 South Carolina commits, it looks like. If I'm reading this correct. Obviously, Rutgers commit 2023. Oh, Desmond Umazulu from last class. I don't know if you remember him. He was a Rutgers target at one point.
All right, disregard what I said. They produce talent.
Yeah, a different Jalen McClain, not the New Jersey one. Tommy Akbana. Dude, I give up. I'm done. I can't pronounce any of these names. But yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad prospect, and I was right on the Chroma thing. Monty Taylor to North Carolina. So like this is a school that like they're not super big in Maryland, but they do produce enough talent to be relevant. Yeah, no, I think it's a really good get, and I like his hands more than anything. I keep watching his tape, and he's got some impressive catches on there. He does use his body a couple times for catches, but he also shies away from it for the most part, it seems like. And then the speed. I know we both talked about just watching the huddle right before we started recording, and it was like I was like, yeah, I don't know if he's really that fast. And then like you're like, look at his strides. I'm like, oh, never mind. Yeah, that's like insane.
Yeah, so sometimes it's really tough to see how fast. Like it's tough to just tell how fast a big guy is sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
when you're small, you can like zoom around, you take a lot more steps. But if you
Yeah.
just watch his tape, every 2 strides he's going 5 yards. So
Mm-hmm.
just kind of calculate that he's moving. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
got legit speed. That's not going to be an issue. I think the issue is he's got to add some size. He's got to probably add 20 to 30 pounds.
Yeah. That's fine.
What high school kid doesn't need to add a ton of
That's
mass? I mean, unless you're a
true.
lineman and you're 400 pounds like Holland Pierce was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
then you might need to lose some weight.
Then
But
you gotta lose
like,
some.
yeah, 90% of the kids in high school need to add significant mass to their bodies, and they're 16 or 17 years old. That's expected. They're not fully done growing, so it
Yeah,
makes sense.
a little bit weird of an offer list too, because it's West Virginia and Texas A&M and a bunch of Group of Five schools, which is the Group of Five. I kind of expected. The West Virginia, they're not too far away, so that kind of makes sense. Texas A&M one, I don't know where that came from, but I'm kind of trying to learn more about that. I have a couple feelers out to see what happened there and where it came from, for the most part. But other than that, I think kind of segueing a little bit, that I think they're done with tight end recruiting.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
that's
they got their second tight end commit in a week. Monty
yeah.
Keener committed on Sunday.
So Saturday, no Sunday, yeah, because it was at the camp. Yeah.
Okay, so second tight end commitment in 2 days.
Mhm.
Yeah, do you think they tried to get them both locked up at the same time, or just coincidence?
I think that might have just been a little bit of a coincidence. I think they were just definitely pushing for God damn it, Ogunniyi.
Ogunniyi.
Ogunniyi. They were definitely pushing for him. He was on campus back in early April. He scheduled an official visit, like I think a week or two later. I think it's his only official visit. Well, it will be now at least. So yeah, I mean they've been pushing for him for quite some time. And then Monty Keener came to campus recently, and it was like he committed. And you know what? It actually wouldn't shock me just because it's more so like you want to get these things done pretty quickly. And when you have Monty Keener commit, it's kind of like, hey, just want to let you know we have one spot left. That's it. Like
Mm.
shit or get off the pot. And it turns out he shit. So, but yeah, no, I think it's a good get. I think both are good gets actually. I'm pretty impressed by those two. And a lot of the recent commits too. I said I saw AJ Serace this weekend. I'm very impressed with him. Um, Judah Pruitt, although I like him more as an offensive lineman, I think he's a good get. Sam Piloff is a very, very good player. Kenny Jones and then Gabriel Winovich are solid gets too. It's a long way to go still. There's only what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 commits, so probably gonna hit around that 20 mark again. I think that's kind of going to be the average now. And then in terms of tight ends, you're probably done, like I said before, and that's where it's getting interesting because you were sitting pretty with a kid like Julian Johnson from Illinois, who's another track guy. Corey Duff was one to keep an eye on. Brett Elliott came to campus on Saturday. So I think,
Mhm.
yeah, you're probably spot on with the these two happening pretty quickly because it was more like, hey, we had Brett on campus, we had Corey on campus on Saturday. What are you doing? Like, you gonna do this or not? Like, and yeah, and he committed.
Yeah, no, I like this kid a lot. I went into it, not really expecting to like him, and came out liking him a lot. So
Yeah, no,
kudos
solid
to the
commit.
staff on this kid.
Got to keep Texas
Um,
A&M away though. That's gonna be a tough one if
yeah,
they're
I think this is
interested.
a kind of kid where I could see him blowing up, despite him playing for a school that, contrary to my firing from the hip opinion, does produce a lot of talent.
Yeah,
Um, he could keep racking up offers, so you got to stay on a kid like Ogunniyi. Um, do you think, like, obviously this is a time where there's a lot of commitments between April and May for most juniors. Do you think this will continue to be a lot of very active time period for Rutgers in terms of commitments?
May's tough because they're not really on campus. I mean, the coaching staff's out and about right now. They're visiting everywhere. I know Heatherman was in South Jersey. I know Shaw was supposed to go to Philly. They're all bouncing around right now, but I don't think there's going to be many more commitments in May unless
Mm-hmm.
spots start to fill up a little bit more. But I'm looking at the position groups right now. Like they don't have any receivers. They want one more running back. Um, tight end's done. Quarterback's done. Defensive line, there's two guys I'm keeping a close eye on, in Caden Brown and Cooper Ackerman. I saw Cooper. I actually saw both this weekend. Cooper's actually pretty impressive. He's taller than I thought. A little bit lengthier than I thought too, so I was impressed by that. I don't know. I don't think they're any closer to another commitment at the moment, but then a guy like Monty Keener pops out of nowhere, and then a guy like
Yeah.
Matthew Ogunniyi.
Ogunniyi.
Ogunniyi. Damn it, dude, I suck. Yeah, yeah. Like, and then he pops out of nowhere, and it's like, all right, well, shit. There we go. There's two kids I didn't see coming this early, so yeah, I don't think anyone else is close to committing. Clay Beasley, probably keep a close eye on. Saturday he was at campus supposedly. I didn't see him personally. I didn't confirm it yet, but he was scheduled to arrive on campus. I think you're just going to really look for more official visits to be scheduled at this point for May. Official visits scheduled for June this May. So,
and that's a perfect pivot here because there are quite a few high-level kids who have recently scheduled June visits to Rutgers. Do you want to just kind of go through some of those kids? A lot of 4-stars.
Yeah, so Jalen Hornsby, Camden wide receiver, just scheduled one. He's hearing from a bunch of different schools. Right now, it sounds like he's a Penn State lean. Texas A&M's also after him. Texas A&M's trying to get up here and get involved as much as possible. With Elijah Robinson still there, being a South Jersey native, it's not too shocking, especially because I think Elijah's actually from Camden, if I recall correctly. Or he's from around that area. So he's going to be one to keep a close eye on. And the other one is Willie Love, his not teammate, but also Camden native. He plays over at Eastside / used to be Woodrow Wilson. I actually really like Rutgers' chances with him. He's technically listed as an athlete at 6'4", 210. If you heard those measurables right away, you're probably thinking linebacker. But he's kind of a DB currently. He's played DB his whole life, so now it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. He actually has an NIL agent, I think it's technically, or he works with an agency. He works with Lifestyle Sports Agency, so NIL is going to be a factor. With him, NIL is going to be a factor. It's a lot of kids at the end of the day. I think like 80% of kids now are like NIL. But he's definitely a tweener between linebacker and DB, and that's where it's going to be interesting. I really think, though, his potential's through the roof. He was there on Sunday and played really good. He played DB, like I said before. I just wish he played linebacker because I think he's going to end up at linebacker regardless just because of his size. But, yeah, really two really good pieces right there on top of several others that are going to come to campus, including Caden Brown, Eris Bethia, Jack Hines, Cooper Ackerman I mentioned before, Jordan Thomas I talked to for a little bit, although I think he's leaning elsewhere as well. Will be on campus on the 2nd. And Corey Duff. Me and Corey Duff actually were just bullshitting for about like a half hour at the camp to the point where one of the drill coaches like, yo, he's working out. And I'm like, oh, dude, whatever, dude. Like, we're just bullshitting. We're not, let him go. Like, he's fine. Yep. A lot of people in his ear right now. Like, I think I mentioned it. I don't know if I said it on the pod or off the pod, but one of the quarterback commits there was like, tell him to go to Carolina.
Oh, yeah, you did mention that about Dante Reno. Yep.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. He's hearing from Florida State. He's hearing from Miami. He's hearing from North Carolina. Rutgers, obviously. We were just bullshitting, and he brought up the fact that Ian Strong was there at Rutgers, and he's really close with Ian. So that's playing a factor. I do think the fact that he is a tight end now, probably in his future, makes me think he's probably going to end up elsewhere because they just got 2 tight end commits. They'd still take him probably as a receiver first, but he's going to grow into that tight end body regardless. Yeah, I mean, there's like I said before, there's a couple names like Cooper Ackerman and Caden Brown I'm keeping a close eye on. Jack Hines is another one. I don't see wide receivers committing yet, but like I mentioned before, there's anything can happen at this point.
Yeah, it sucks because I mean Rutgers was in on Corey Duff early. They had the Uncle Lenny connection.
I mentioned that to him too. He's like, "Oh, Lenny, that's my guy," and I'm like, "Oh, there you
go." Yeah, but they couldn't lock him up early, and he blew up. So it is what it is. Hopefully, he still ends up here, but doesn't sound likely at the moment.
Yeah.
Another news item for the football team: Micah Wing has left the program. He was a potential. Yes. He was a preferred walk-on from last year. And walk-on. I know what you're saying. Why are we talking about preferred? What'd you say?
You said potential, and it made me laugh.
Yeah, preferred walk-on.
It just made me laugh.
And I know you're saying, he's a preferred walk-on. Who cares? I mean, most kids who are preferred walk-ons, they'd never even see the field. But Micah Wing was a little different. He had probably close to a dozen D1 offers at one point, and they all kind of dried up. I think he waited a little bit too long. He ended up walking on at Rutgers.
Yes.
And as a freshman, he played quite a bit. It was mostly special teams, but there's very, very, very few preferred walk-ons who play as a true freshman. And he did. So, I mean, that might speak to the lack of depth at Rutgers last year, but it also speaks to his talent because there were other kids who were walk-ons playing the same position who did not play even as juniors, seniors, etc. So, while this isn't a loss that's worth necessarily pulling our hair out over, this is something that's more significant than the average preferred walk-on leaving. So what are you hearing about why he left? Any insight there?
So you mentioned he was a preferred walk-on. The kid had a ton of scholarship offers out of high school, and you saw it in the article I wrote about him leaving. Everyone's like, well, if he wasn't a scholarship kid, why did he turn down all the scholarships? And I'm like, dude, all right. Number one, when you commit or you don't commit till fucking January, you fucked up. I hate to tell you.
At least in today's day and age, maybe 10 years ago, that's fine. But
there's one or two outliers every class. And it's like Jim Diona situation where he ended up blowing up in December. That's different. That's fine. But for the most part, most of these kids, you get all these offers, and I hate to tell you, you have to commit early. There's no more waiting. There's not a waiting game anymore. You have to, I said it before, shit or get off the pot. And you have to get your spot locked up. And I've known a lot of kids, even in this class, I've talked to, and they're just like, dude, I had to commit. They kind of told me they were going to take another running back. And I was like, fuck, no, you're not. So it's tough, but, man had 15 offers or I think it was 14 or 13, something like that. It was in the teens. That's all I know. And ended up going to Rutgers as a preferred walk-on. Great get for Rutgers as a PWO. Don't get me wrong. And I actually think the fact that he played special teams mostly as in his first year tells me that Greg found a role for him. No matter what it was, he's not going to make the two deep. Wasn't going to be a starter. But down the line, he had potential. And I actually think he would have grew into an edge rusher kind of type of guy. So everyone's looking at the linebacker too deep, and it's he wasn't playing anyway. And I'm like, yeah, but you see his frame, he came in at 200 pounds, but pack him on, and so did Kenny Fletcher. Kenny Fletcher came in at fucking 190, maybe a little more, but he's thin as rail too. But I really think he was a really solid prospect, and you need those guys on your roster for special teams. Greg's talked about it in the past. This special teams was ass when he came in. It was just filled with random nobodies, and you need to get these preferred walk-ons in order to get them into special teamers. Look at Keaton Reed. That man just made the NFL as a special teamer somehow.
Yep.
Who else? There was a couple other guys that were notable. Ronnie Abdulaziz is a guy no one really talked about. He was a great special teamer. There was a big name special teamer that Rutgers had that I can't remember.
Back in the day, or
a year or two ago. Whatever.
He historically has also played a lot of starters on special teams. One of the best, the Gunners are Longerbeam,
that's true.
Max Melton, those are the guys blocking punts. So and that's what they do in the NFL too. So
yeah. So I mean, it's very important to have these preferred walk-ons, not just for practice, not just for tackling dummies. They're actually legitimately used on special teams more than anything. And I think that's something that you have to kind of keep an eye on. And I do think this is a little bit of a loss. It doesn't sting as much as you guys think because he's not a scholarship dude, but it definitely doesn't help either. I think everyone's he's going to go to Dell State or UDEL. And I'm like, he's better than that. I'll be honest with you. He's going to go somewhere a G5 and probably get a scholarship. So wouldn't shock me. Maybe UDEL because it's home, but that's about the only reason I could see him going to UDEL.
Yep. I agree. So we had that supersized pod yesterday.
Yes.
Is there anything else that we missed from either yesterday or today that you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, so there's something I wanted to touch on real quick. So I went to the Under Armour camp, right, on Sunday, and this kind of goes hand in hand with that apparel deal. And some of you weirdos that wear Under Armour out there, I just want to point this out. You don't understand. These kids showed up to an Under Armour camp. Mind you, they get the T-shirt or whatever, the dry fit shirt, whatever it's called. They get shorts, they get socks, they get cleats. And like all these kids are walking up, they're putting on their shoes, they're putting on their cleats, their own personal cleats. Because like, why would you make someone else wear something completely different for this camp? Because it's gonna make you feel fucking weird.
Yep.
And the camp director walks over, he goes, "Take those fucking cleats off. Everyone put on the Under Armour cleats and socks we gave you." I'm like, "The socks? Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
Oh
Like
my
the
God.
socks. And I'm like, dude, whatever. Like that. I'm just sitting there. The one kid had white Under Armour socks. He goes, "Put on the black socks we gave you." And I'm like, dude, they're Under Armour. Like,
Wow.
but half of these kids, I will tell you right now, well, I shouldn't say half, probably like 75% of these kids walked in with Nike cleats. Number one, there was some Adidas sprinkled in. Um, but these kids are like, dude, these are so uncomfortable. Like I can't wear them. They're too tight. Like I don't like it. I can't do it. Which maybe these kids are just being petty at sometimes. But like you can't you just see all these kids wearing Nike. It's
Yeah.
Nike, Nike, Nike. And that goes back to what we said yesterday. These kids want to wear Nike. I don't care what texture's better, what fucking scientist told me that this foam in the back of my sneaker is going to help my arch support and my fucking stature and all that. But like, no, it's Nike right now. I hate to tell you. Is Adidas close second? Yes, 100%. That's why I don't think you can go wrong with either one. If you're stupid and dumb and like a really bad college right now, you're probably going to go with like New Balance for like 95% of your sports, and you're probably going to go with Under Armour for like one sport. But I don't know what stupid college would do that. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what Northeastern Jesuit school with a failing athletic department would do that.
yeah,
Who
that's just,
knows?
don't get me wrong. No, now, mind you, the New Balance, not athletic wear, the New Balance, just like casual wear, it's getting pretty nice. I'm not going to lie. I want to be that old guy grilling with the New Balances on now.
Oh my God. And I mean, to be fair to these kids, at the same time, anybody who's played soccer or anyone who's played baseball, or anyone who's played football, those new pair of cleats, those take time to break in.
It's miserable.
And it sucks because it's the material's so tight. You got to just kind of like find out how, because certain cleats you want to tie tighter than others. Certain like brands, a 12 Nike might be an 11 and a half or a 12 and a half in Under Armour. You have to like kind of figure it out. And if they're too tight or too loose, it's going to affect your performance. Like these kids, it's like, imagine a race car driver shows up with their race car to an event that's sponsored by a different tire company, and then they need to put all new tires in your car, and you're used to driving on Goodyears, and now you got to drive on Peroni tires or something, and it takes you a few laps to get used to it. The handling's off, and your performance is affected. And I as these kids are trying to get attention for their recruitments, they're trying to put on their best performance. It sucks. I wouldn't feel comfortable with it either, but it is what it is. It's sponsored by Under Armour. You got to wear their gear.
Like, dude, it was crazy because the one kid's like, "Yeah, they don't fit." Like, and he's playing dumb, and I'm like, I'm just laughing because I know who the kid is, and I'm just looking at him like, "You're so stupid, dude. Like, what are you doing?" And he's like, they made him tie tape around the Adidas logo.
Wow.
Like that whatever it's called, that athletic tape for your sneakers, for your ankles.
Yep.
Literally tied it over the Adidas logos, and I'm like, dude, seriously, like, what are we doing here? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, these companies, man, they're nuts. They don't care. But yeah, I will say I don't. Most kids don't want Under Armour. I think that's pretty clear based on Sunday.
Yeah, and despite the fact that Under Armour has some of the top athletes in the world, like
it's crazy.
Steph Curry, Tom Brady,
Bryce Harper,
like it's just not. And I don't say this in like, I don't know. It's just not a sexy brand, It's just Nike has this reputation. It's got most top basketball players. Like, if you had the choice, say the money was equal, and you're an athlete, let's just talk basketball because that's the easiest. Yeah. And they're all offering you a signature shoe. You're going with Nike 100 times out of 100 because they have the best branding, they have the best marketing. They have the best commercials. They have the best everything. So,
yeah, the only reason I think you would go with Adidas, honestly, and it goes with Rutgers too, is because of money. Like, at the end of the day, like, now if you can get the tier 1 from Adidas, I think you kind of rock with Adidas if you're Rutgers. I don't know what the exact tier list is or who's on it, but I'm pretty sure like Louisville's on it, and there's like a bunch of Kansas. I think it's Adidas, right? If you can get that tier 1 deal from Adidas, then you take it. If Nike's not going to offer you tier one, if Nike offers you tier one and Adidas offers you tier one, you're going Nike. Like that's just simple as that.
I think if you look at who is in the tier one for Adidas, it's a bit surprising because it's basketball slanted. Like Indiana is a tier one Adidas school, basketball.
Yes.
Kansas, tier one Adidas school, basketball.
So I found out who their top 6 is. It's Cincinnati, who interestingly,
really,
yeah, they're in the tier one. Yeah. Kansas basketball, Notre Dame. I don't know what you consider that. I don't even think this might be old. Actually, this might be an old article. Is Notre Dame still Adidas?
I don't think so.
This is from 2013, actually. So this is very old.
I'm pretty sure that they're Under Armour.
Yeah, I think they've switched since then. You might be right. I'm trying to find their top schools. I don't know where it would be, but like, I know like the elite programs used to be. I don't even know if Cincinnati's there anymore, actually.
Yeah, so Notre Dame's Under Armour contract expires in 2024.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I forget. Actually, you know, I might be wrong then. I don't know where to find this, unless this is it. Made in March collection. I forget. This is from 2015, man. I can't find a newer one whatsoever. But it's mostly like schools like Kansas, like NC State, Louisville, UCLA. It's all basketball related for Adidas.
Yeah,
they're getting better. Don't get me wrong, they are. But I just don't know if you can't really go for it if you're going to do that. Like,
yeah. So here's probably what their tier one is, just from making inferences. Their tier one is probably Indiana, Kansas, Louisville, Miami, Nebraska, Texas A&M, and Washington. That's probably their top 6.
Yeah.
Rutgers, given who they're recruiting, especially in basketball, given that they're getting 5 stars pretty regularly now, that's a very attractive situation for these apparel companies because, you know, realistically, you know, Ace Bailey is a lottery pick. If he doesn't get hurt, if his development continues, you want lottery picks in your apparel gear because you want those, you know, they don't necessarily have, like, nobody gets a signature shoe really out of college anymore. You have to kind of prove your muster there. Like LeBron got one out of college, but that was, you know, different time, different level of player. But they want them in the pipeline to be the next superstar wearing their apparel gear.
Now, I found one from 2021, December 2021. So mind you, number 1 overall apparel deal is Adidas and Louisville. Louisville's not football. It's all basketball. Number 2 is Nike and Ohio State. Kansas and Adidas. That's basketball related. Nebraska and Adidas, actually. But Nebraska's got a different crowd. Like they literally just they have that entire state on lock. Like,
yep. Did you see? Not to derail you.
No, you're good.
Nebraska and Creighton's women volleyball teams are playing a game in August. Playing a match, sorry, whatever they call it.
Yeah,
that sold out in like 2 days. They're playing in the football stadium.
Yeah,
80,000 plus people for a Creighton, Nebraska women's volleyball game.
The state of Nebraska is different, man. Built different.
Built different. Built corn, 100% corn. Built different.
I will say this. I never went out personally, but I know my uncles went out there for a Rutgers game, I believe it was. He said, honestly, the nicest people like you'll ever meet at a tailgate. Like he goes, I've never met so many welcoming football fans and like just in general, just everyone was like, oh, come hang out with us. Come hang out with us. And it's just like, I don't think you understand where we're from, people. Like, it's like you walk past someone's tailgate and you get a mean look in Jersey, and it's like, "Fuck you, buddy." Like, it's completely different. But it just goes to show you, like, some of these NIL deals are kind of insane. But yeah, this is going to be interesting to see where Rutgers goes with this. They honestly, I don't care either way. I don't have a dog in this fight. I do think Nike's going to help them recruiting wise, but if Adidas offers you tier 1, you cannot say no. I don't think.
No, you can't. But it's going to be a negotiation. This is going to be, even though it doesn't seem that way, it's going to be one of the more important negotiations Pat Hobbs has as athletic director.
Yeah, and it just sounds like we might be having Pat Hobbs on in a month. We'll see.
That's true. We have some master plan stuff that hasn't been released obviously yet, but before they announce it, we'll have the scoop for you guys. So stay tuned for that.
For sure. It seems like we're the only pro Pat Hobbs pod out there.
Pod? No,
Site?
I'd say that everybody's pretty pro Pat Hobbs. We're not the only. We might be one of the only pro Pat Hobbs outlets. We should say. It seems like there's some hate that's not really fully
hating from outside the club, and you can't even get in.
Yeah, I don't think it's warranted, but we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again for listening. Thanks once again to all of you who have rated and reviewed. There's been a huge surge, a tidal wave of reviews that we cannot thank you enough for. We don't have the most reviews yet, but we are well on our way.
What did I say last pod?
On our way.
What did I say last 2 pods ago? Get it together, people. I need a 5-star just below. Hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 3K. As soon as I told you, 3K equals giveaway. I don't know what the giveaway is yet. We're going to do like a year for the night report for somebody. We're going to do some kind of jersey giveaway. I'm going to see if I can get someone a Braswell Jaguars jersey because that would be unique.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be definitely interesting. So, tons of giveaways, all kinds of stuff. So figure it out, people. 5-star reviews. Get us number 1. Get us to 3,000 subscriptions. Honestly, I haven't checked in a while, so we might be there for all I know. But
we are not there yet.
Okay, close
but
enough.
We were close.
Yeah, that's all I got. 2.92. We're close. Very close.
All right, guys. Well, thank you once again for listening. This has been another edition of the Night Report podcast. Signing off.